Hi, and welcome to Relationships and Astrology. I'm Armand Diaz in New York.
And I'm Margaret Gray in Dublin.
Margaret, Mercury is going retrograde. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I don't either. That's the problem, isn't it, with Mercury retrograde? Yep.
What does this have to do with relationships? I mean, it's not Venus retrograde, not until the springtime anyway. What's Mercury retrograde going to do with relationships?
Well, you know, one of the crucial aspects of relationships, of course, is communication. I mean, that's the thing that comes up time and time and time again. Miscommunication, lack of communication, how to communicate. And so Mercury, when he goes retrograde, which of course is this symbolic thing that happens, it's not like he's walking backwards in the sky, but I think the trickster aspect of him, of Hermes, really, really comes to light. So there's quite a few things that both as individuals and couples we have to look out for. I mean, that's that's just some initial thoughts. What do you think?
I agree. I would think that this is a time when, if you're going to have a talk, it would be a good time to have a talk. If you have something to say, be very careful when you're texting, because a lot of times you mean something in a kind of light, funny way, and somebody else is like, what do you mean by that? Emails, you could think that you're saying something then it's taken in a completely different way. There could be a lot of misunderstandings, and sometimes even it happens that like that important message doesn't go through or something like that. So I think it's a time to be very, very careful about how we communicate, literally how we physically communicate in relationship.
Yes, especially because it's in Capricorn, which is an earth sign. So it's already by nature not a very fast Mercury. So I think when it goes retrograde, it really can be even a little slower. So I totally agree with you, checking the messages have got through, or even that we send them to the right person. I have heard sometimes during Mercury retrograde that important messages go to the wrong person. Yes, so there could be a few problems there. So we need to be careful. Yes, that could create chaos. So those kind of things, delays also in terms of signing contracts. So if somebody is getting married or signing some kind of contract to do with a relationship, to really be kind of careful that, everything is signed correctly.
Yeah, that's always an issue, and I think that sometimes it's always an issue with Mercury retrograde, and I think that with a relationship, sometimes you might be getting an apartment, you might be signing a lease, you might be doing something along those lines, and yeah, it's definitely important to be careful about that, and I think sometimes just the frustrations that come up with Mercury retrograde, we got to take them out on somebody, and it's a good idea that it not be our partner. It may actually that it not be somebody, that we just find a way to sort of get the tensions out there. But I think that there is some potential for there being a little bit of friction based upon just what we're feeling personally and sort of projecting it out into partnership. The other thing that I think is worth mentioning is that people that have Pisces rising or Sagittarius rising, their relationship house is ruled by Mercury. With Virgo or Gemini on the 7th house cusp, and perhaps people with Venus in Gemini and Virgo, and for them this may be a little bit like a Venus retrograde. There may be a sort of going back, rethinking, maybe a more internal time rather than an external time in a relationship.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that. What I was thinking as well is that if anybody natally has Mercury in aspect to Saturn or in aspect to Chiron, and so may at times already not feel maybe that it's very easy to be understood, that this time may feel a little bit more challenging. So just to be aware of that. Also, another thing is that on the 29th of December, Mercury is actually going to join the Sun. They're actually going to be together. So that's going to be a particularly important day in terms of the retrograde. So to pay particular attention to communication.
That's right around Uranus's station as well.
Yes, and we're going to do a recording, aren't we, quite soon on all of these transits during the holidays. So do tune in for our holiday transit recording. But also just to mention that, of course, Mercury is stationing next to Pluto. So there's a little bit of an intense start to this. So just to be aware that there may be quite a lot of thoughts going around at this time, and just to be aware, you know, maybe in communication with partners, that it's quite a good time actually to talk about some deep, intense issues, but to do so with caution a little bit.
A little caution in communication is a very good message for relationships and astrology right now.
Yes, I think that's very important. So just watch what you say out there, but do remember that this is a good time to revisit also old things. That's one of the things with Mercury retrograde. And on that note, I think we'll leave you until our next recording on the holiday transits. See you soon, Armand.
Bye-bye, Margaret.
Bye-bye.